going live.
Greetings and welcome, everyone, to the ICBC Brand India session. This is our second session in collaboration with the Consulate General of India, Vancouver, to facilitate trade and business ties between the two countries, and the province in focus today is British Columbia. This session will include a round of remarks from our esteemed speakers, followed by a Q&A round, for which I encourage everyone in the audience to post their queries in the chat box as we proceed through the session. Without further delay, I would like to request ICBC CEO Nadira Hamid to make her welcome remarks to the audience who have signed in today. Over to you, Nadira. Nadira, may I request you to unmute? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shobik. So greetings to everyone from Canada and India. Good morning to Canada, good evening to India, as is our usual. These days, all the sessions, we have to say this because of the time difference. We are very privileged to be collaborating with the Consulate General of India, Vancouver, on this session today, which is aimed at facilitating trade and business ties between the two countries. We have worked very closely with British Columbia and are delighted to showcase and promote this beautiful province to doing business with India. We are pleased to have the support of Consul General Manish and his team today. And I'm equally privileged to welcome Honorary Captain of the Royal Canadian Navy and President and CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, Anita Huberman. The Surrey Board of Trade are our partners for this session today, and thank you, Anita, for that. I would also like to welcome Rooma, Bussi, Managing Director, India Trade and Invest, British Columbia. A special thanks to Shaily, Agrawal, Senior Manager at Invest India, who will present a few helpful insights to businesses joining us from British Columbia on what India has to offer. So the overall purpose of this session is to promote India as a favorable business destination, as well as to highlight the economic strengths of British Columbia. In recent years, the relations between BC and India have grown positively, and we have collaborated on several initiatives like promoting timber and wood from BC and advocating hydrogen energy projects and services, especially for autonomous vehicles that could be helpful in India. Besides that, there is more potential in other sectors such as pharmaceuticals, food, rice, and marine products. And I'm sure all the other panelists who are going to be joining me will be giving you a lot more details on these sectors and what is the potential for business between India and Canada. India and with British Columbia in focus. I now take the opportunity to welcome Consul General Manish. He has been a career diplomat for over 22 years and before Vancouver has served at other important missions like Moscow, Tashkent, Prague, Colombo, and Jakarta. Having served as Counselor for Economic and Commercial Initiatives in Colombo in the past, he has extensive experience in strategic trade and commercial and development cooperation issues, which will be helpful for British Columbia and India. I met with Consul General Manish just before he left for British Columbia to take over as Consul General and was delighted to see his dynamism, his verve, and his interest in strengthening ties between British Columbia and India. And today's session will show exactly how engaged he is to take this relationship forward. Consul General, welcome and request you to make your remarks.
Thank you, Nadira, for having us here and organizing this webinar on opportunities between India and Canada, and in particular, British Columbia. Welcome to dear friends from India. Good evening and good morning to all our colleagues from BC. Thank you, Anita, Rooma, Shaily, my colleague Manjeesh, Shobik for joining in this webinar. I'm the Consul General here in past 18 months, and my charge is not only British Columbia, but also Alberta, Saskatchewan, Yukon, and Northwest Territory, the 5 big provinces in Western Canada. And Western Canada is very important partner for India in overall Indo-Canadian trade, and it contributes about 30% of bilateral trade in goods and services. So the big picture, the big story between India and Canada is that in Indo-Canadian economic corridor is more than 100 billion worth, out of which the bilateral trade in goods is about 9 billion in 2021. This is an increase from the previous year, 2020, and it has grown quite impressively despite COVID challenges. And the bilateral trade in services is another 4.5 billion. So we can say that overall trade in goods and services between our two countries is about 13.5 billion Canadian. And if we go into dive deeper into what are the top 10 items between our two countries where there is a potential for our exporters out of India, the pharmaceutical is the top in the list, followed by the diamond related items, then artificial jewelry, shrimps and prawns, and then engineering chemical items, then engineering items, apparel like bed sheets, followed by rice, etc. Now let me give you a snapshot between BC and India trade specific total. As you can see in the slide, the overall trade between India and British Columbia is about $1.2 billion in 2021. That if you add up the values, and that the screen shows that BC's top 10 export item to India in US dollars. I mean, the British Columbia is a big resource economy, and coal is one of the big items which we get from British Columbia. And Tech Resources is one of the biggest company which exports coking coal for our steel industry. So it's, I mean, Indian infrastructure space, lot of production is happening in the steel industry. So the coking coal from British Columbia will continue to grow its export, both coking coal and copper concentrate and all. Apart from that, lumber, wood pulp industry, there are already presence in Indian market by the British Columbian Forestry Institute is there. So I'll not go in the detail. You can already see in the screen the 10 top items. Next. Manjeet, can you switch the other slide?
Shobik, can you help?
Mr. Grover, if you can just click on slide number 2 on the left.
So other big picture about the Indo-Canadian relationship is the investment that is happening between the two countries. I mean, Canada is the 21st largest foreign investor in India, with a cumulative investment of more than $2.8 billion between 2020 and 2021, 2000 and 2021. And Canadian companies are operating in India across all sectors. Primarily, IT is the engineering service, aviation, transportation, etc. And the real strength of Canadian is the investment coming from the portfolio investment companies in the various key infrastructure sectors in India, like not only infrastructure, but highways, airports, clean energy, education, logistics, real estate, banking. So this is one of the best success stories, the portfolio investment. In 2015, it was 5 billion. Now it is more than 55 billion currently. And all the big pension fund houses from Canada are investing in India, whether it is CPPIB or CDPQ or the British Columbia Investment Management Corporation. So all the top 9 fund houses are present in India. And we have been reaching out to them specifically. The Prime Minister himself has spoken to them. And we in coming days, we see that we have helped in our area, BC IMC and the Alberta Investment Corporation still have a lot of potential to invest, and they have taken a conscious decision to increase their share in the Indian market space. So this is a good story. The other way around is also important, the presence of Indian companies in Canada, and India is also one of the significant investors in Canada. And Indian companies have invested more than about $3 billion in Canadian economy. And there is a large presence of Indian companies. Some of them are State Bank, in the banking sector, ICICI, and all the big IT companies are present here, be it Tech Mahindra, Infosys, Mahindra, or HCL Technologies. And recently in Alberta, a couple of Indian IT companies like Infosys and Emphasis have announced a presence here. The Invest India will make a detailed presentation later on, but the past 2 years or so, we have worked with Invest India, and Invest India has a Canadian desk there, which facilitates trade and investment in India. They handhold the Canadian companies wanting to enter into India, and post-pandemic, we have seen that a lot of Canadian companies are looking up to India, and references of or queries in Invest India has increased tremendously. And few success stories I would like to mention from British Columbia in recent past is one is the setting up of R&D center by Lululemon, who are in apparel sports sector, and they have set up operations in Bangalore and are wanting to kind of get into the retail space, and Invest India is already assisting them. So the big picture is that this part of the world in Canada has a lot of potential in terms of clean tech, agri-tech, and hydrogen technology. I think we'll hear from other speakers on this, and Indian companies can, of course, cooperate with this company. In terms of Indian exporter, food and beverages sector is one important sector where they can look into. A few days ago, we had a webinar with TPCI on this. The reason behind opportunities in food sector is that people of Indian origin is about 1.8 million people here. To top on that are students, about 230,000 of them, and NRIs and people working on PR category. So about 2.4 million people of Indian origin are in Canada, and about 600,000 to 700,000 people live in Western Canada. So food sector, ethnic food sector is one big opportunity because it is a growing sector. So our people can look into that. Similarly, they can also focus on pharmaceuticals, engineering products, steel pipes, jewelry, diamonds, seafood, rice, masonry, and motor vehicle parts. So not in a particular area, but these are some of the opportunity sectors which Indian exporters can look into. And of course, as I said, if Indian company is looking for appropriate technology, for example, in e-mobility or in agri-tech or hydrogen technology, all these are available here. And these are specific sectors, and we would look forward to working with the Indian side, BC Invest and Surrey Trade Board, and the Indian company is interested in this to connect people. So I once again welcome all of you and to this webinar, and would like to say that we in our consulate are very focused in helping both in Indian and Canadian companies, those who wish to get into each other's market, and of course all the stakeholders in India-Canada Economic Corridor, especially with British Columbia present in this webinar. So we'll all look forward to increasing our presence and ramping up our economic agenda, because this is the way to go forward and be in our relationship. And as we said, we have taken a conscious decision to especially focus on Canada. And this is backed by our decision to have a separate investment desk in Invest India. And of course, negotiation is going on in SEPA. And in March, we have information that the trade minister of both countries are going to have a ministerial dialogue. And we hope that we'll have some sort of understanding in SEPA, which will again bring the two countries closer in the economic sector. Thank you once again, and I look forward for further discussion in the panel.
Thank you, Consul General, for your remarks. I think that was an excellent overview. I think there are a couple of comments on the chat box on your remarks. You have given a nice overview on the partnership opportunities between British Columbia and Canada and India, and highlighted some of the key areas for engagement. It's been the Chamber's privilege to support your mandate and promote your business engagements. I now take the opportunity to welcome Anita Huberman for her remarks. As mentioned by Nadira earlier, Anita is an honorary captain of the Royal Canadian Navy, the president of CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade for the last 16 years, besides being actively engaged in several notable boards, such as the Forum for International Trade Training, Premier's Economic Recovery Task Force, and several others. She's also the recipient for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, award winner of Vancouver's Top 40 Under 40, 2019 Surrey Community Builder of the Year, and also the Canada 150 Community Medal. Anita, welcome, and may I please request you to give us your insights on strengthening the trade ties between BC and Indian businesses. Over to you.
Thank you so much, and welcome also to our colleagues from India. Surrey, British Columbia is going to be the largest city in our province very soon. We are growing by 1,200 to 1,400 people a month. And I'm so proud and honored to be leading Surrey's city building business organization for the past 16 years. I've been with the organization for, I can't believe it, 29 years in a variety of roles. But I have a very well-rounded background, whether it's related to serving on Canada's National Film Board, being the chair of Surrey's local immigration partnership table, really being involved on regional land development committees to harness economic development activities, to harness opportunities for Surrey to leverage our international trade partnerships. And that is why I created the Surrey International Trade Center when I first became the president and CEO, emulating ourselves after the Chambers of Commerce Boards of Trades in Europe, in India. We took a trade mission to India in 2011 and built about 7 industry specific on the ground industry association partnerships, because every week we receive requests, whether it's locally or internationally, about businesses wanting to do business between Canada and India. So how do I do business with India to sell my product? And so having those on the ground connections that are reliable for us is very important. 30% of Surrey's population is of South Asian origin. Bollywood, we're trying to make Surrey a Bollywood film destination. And I want to tell you a little bit, first of all, before I get into Surrey, about the Surrey Board of Trade, because we do offer international memberships so that we're able to facilitate and harness those connections for you. We're here in Canada as a resource for you. We work very closely with our provincial government, our Canadian government, to ensure that we are a global economic destination for businesses, not only for India, but also the 29 other country partnerships that we have established through the Surrey International Trade Center. So to tell you a little bit about the Surrey Board of Trade, I just have a video to show you, and then we can get right into the details of what the City of Surrey can offer to you. As one of the fastest growing cities in Canada, Surrey is an opportunity city. The Surrey Board of Trade is the concierge of connections.
Rick Mann from IOM Property Group. I'm a Director of Development and Construction. We rely on the Surrey Board of Trade for a lot of advocacy and research that we don't actively go out and find. Really, like there's things on there that I had no idea about, and I get the email, I get the web link, and it really affects us in a big way.
The Surrey Board of Trade is focused on making Surrey an opportunity city by instigating change at the different levels of government, offering a variety of business support services, international trade support services, and being the concierge of connections for the business community in Surrey.
My name is Rowena Rosati. I'm the Vice President of Healthcare and Innovation here at the Health and Technology District by the Lark Group. We focus on a lot of health and technologies and how we can bring different technologies and innovative healthcare solutions into the hands of clinicians. So there's a tremendous amount of information and support that the Surrey Board of Trade offers to these companies, and it's an opportunity for me to be able to translate what the Surrey Board of Trade is doing for some of those companies and helping those companies to succeed.
If it's in the agricultural sector or in the retail sector, if they're needing a government connection, if they have an issue related to government, we are there for them. And we have a proven track record of success to ensure that businesses are helped.
You know, the Surrey Board of Trade it's a great organization because anybody who's involved in that organization wants to be a more proactive member of the community. So having an opportunity to connect and network with those individuals helps our business become better.
So the Surrey Board of Trade offers an immense amount of support for businesses at all levels, including entrepreneurs and startup businesses. There are resources that help a business that they wouldn't necessarily be able to afford to contract on their own, and it allows those to be accessible, sometimes free of cost. It also creates opportunities for networking.
Whether you're a new business that's just opening up shop in Surrey, Surrey Board of Trade has to be one of your top destinations. It will connect you with a lot of the great minds in the organization, a lot of great minds in the community that can help.
So whether you're a small business or a medium-sized business or a large business, starting out or expanding, we have the connections. We have the resources to ensure that you have what you need during your journey as an entrepreneur. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to just tell you that Surrey is an opportunity city. Surrey can accurately be viewed as a place where innovation abounds, thanks to the collaboration across a wide range of constituency, including corporate leaders, startup entrepreneurs, university leaders, students. A third of our population is under the age of 19. This is where the human capital is. Our investors, our public officials, over the years, Surrey has become recognized as a breeding ground in which academic research is developed into commercial reality, and where business processes are constantly refined, as proven by companies such as Fortis BC, Natural Gas, Catatronics Innovations, Green Earth Biofuels, Micromatter Technologies. It is Surrey's innovative companies that will meet the challenges of our new economy that we face beyond the pandemic. And the new economy must include doing business with global partners such as India. I wanted to let you know that Surrey has the greatest number of manufacturers in British Columbia. They make anything from steel fabrication. We have 108 different companies in Surrey that support the mining sector, minerals that are needed for our new green energy resource sector. We have a health and technology district, which you saw on the video, really ensuring that we are the tech hub that not only attracts business, but also ensures that we're in the digital landscape, supporting our small and medium-sized business community to harness their innovative processes around marketing, human resources, finances, making sure that we're tying industry needs to curriculum development to ensure that our labor needs are met. We instigate change at the different levels of government. And one of our key pieces that we've continued to advocate on, which my colleagues on the panel I'm sure can agree with, is the need, the urgent need for a free trade agreement between Canada and India to cut down those red tape barriers. We need that to ensure that we're removing costly and time-consuming trade barriers. We need to get down to business. We need to ensure that you in India are connecting with our businesses in Surrey. We have the most industrial land inventory in Surrey, more than Vancouver, the most in the Metro Vancouver area. We're a border city. We have an international docking facility where we are receiving goods from all over the world, including India, and shipping goods also. This is a major city, a major player, and it's not all about Vancouver anymore. It's about Surrey. And in Metro Vancouver, which is a region of about 21 cities, it really is an opportunity when we hear that 1.3 million people are going to be moving to this region by 2050. Many of them will live, learn, work, and play in Surrey and in our eastern region, all the way to Abbotsford. So, ladies and gentlemen, in Surrey, we really need to ensure that we're leveraging each other's energy sectors, that we're supporting our financing, equipment, technology, and engineering services together, that we are together promoting enhanced education and skills training through greater collaboration between Canadian and Indian educational institutions. Last year, we formed a trifecta economic partnership between different private colleges, immigrant serving organizations, because Surrey is the highest newcomer destination. And the third element of that trifecta economic partnership is, of course, us at the Board of Trade, the business community. We have businesses that need to fill jobs. We have newcomers that are trained in 6 to 8 week programs, and we're able to place them in businesses with a 90% success rate. It's been a very rewarding trifecta economic partnership in the face of significant labor shortages that we're facing, not only here in Surrey, not only here in BC, but in all of Canada. And certainly that talent war is evident all throughout the world. We really are driving in Surrey the commercialization and the scale up of businesses. We have educational institutions such as Simon Fraser University, where I sit on SFU India's advisory council, and I believe some of my colleagues are on the event call today, where we are leveraging those partnerships, not only from an educational perspective, but we are using the university as a significant economic development tool to scale up businesses and to ensure that those relationships, whether we have any strengths to offer to India and the strengths from India over to us here in Surrey. So we're leveraging each other's, our strengths in order to scale up businesses, to scale up economic development, to scale up research and development, because we need to work together. And that's what we believe here in Surrey. That is the ecosystem that we have developed. And that's why, you know, as we go hopefully beyond this pandemic, we're focusing on ensuring that we are harnessing the infrastructure that we need to be that big city. And we need international partnerships. So if you're looking to do business in Surrey or co-locate your business in Surrey, please contact the Surrey Board of Trade. Let us help you. I put my email in the chat function. We want to make Surrey a Bollywood film destination. We are making an Indigenous innovation entrepreneurship center. We have hired our First Nation communities, our founders of Canada, to build entrepreneurship opportunities, and they too want to trade with countries like India. We're building a cybercrime center of excellence, a blockchain center of excellence, an immigration innovation lab to scale up immigrant entrepreneurs right here in Surrey, because we need to do that to ensure that Surrey is going to be that next city, that great big city in British Columbia. So I want you to know that we are working hard with the federal government. I'm meeting with them after this event call to ensure that the Canada-India Free Trade Agreement is top of mind, that there is going to be some action towards that. We need to ensure that we're working towards that comprehensive economic partnership agreement, and to ensure that we're focused together on developing business opportunities, not only to enhance our livability, but also to enhance our economic needs together. I look forward to your questions. Thank you so much for including the Surrey Board of Trade on this very important strategic call today. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear your perspectives on the current opportunities and the ecosystem that international businesses can tap into, and what the Surrey Board of Trade can offer to Indian entities looking to trade and expand to Canada. Next up, in continuation to what the British Columbia industry has to offer in this international businesses, I'd like to introduce Rooma Kumar Bussi, who is the Managing Director for Trade and Invest British Columbia here in India. She has over 25 years of experience in economic development, and she supports the mandates of provincial ministries to develop broader political and institutional linkages with India. Welcome, Rooma. Request you to please share your perspectives.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks, Shavik, for inviting me to be part of this discussion today. And a very good morning and a very good evening to everyone on the call. I am Rooma Kumar Bussi, as Shavik said, and I represent the government of British Columbia in India. So I and my team, we are based in Mumbai and Delhi. And our primary mandate is to work with British Columbia companies to help them export to India. And we also work with Indian companies that want to invest in British Columbia. So it is my pleasure and my honor to be amongst you today. And also my honor to participate in today's event with Consul General Manish and all my other esteemed panelists. So you got an overview from the Consul General on the Canada-India and the BC-India relationship. Now, this relationship between British Columbia and India is a very old one, and it's built on partnerships, and it's built on the strengths of a very strong diaspora. and very strong people-to-people linkages. So not only is British Columbia strategically located as Canada's gateway to Asia Pacific, it also has very strong cultural and historical ties with India. Now, there are more than 250,000 people of Indian descent living in BC, and as Anita, will testify, and Surrey is home to many of them. It is home to a sizable South Asian population, and these people are contributing in a significant manner to build British Columbia's economy. Now, British Columbia was the first Canadian province to diversify into Asian markets. So in that way, it was quite the pioneer. And today, India is British Columbia's 5th largest export destination, and it is a priority market for the government of British Columbia. Two-way trade is growing and contributing to a strong commercial relationship between BC and India. And as you heard from the Consul General, total exports from BC to India increased almost about 831% from $159 million in 2008 to roughly about $1.2, $1.5 billion in 2019. Now, this is not a small accomplishment, and it speaks volumes to the opportunity that exists for trade between British Columbia and India. There is also strong investment from India into British Columbia, and this is primarily driven by the natural resources sector and by the technology companies from India. So it tends to be a lot of the technology companies like Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, etc. All of these companies are set up and have invested in British Columbia. Of course, COVID has dented the trade figures and the bilateral trade figures quite significantly. So these figures I'm speaking to are, of course, pre-COVID figures, and I strongly believe that once the pandemic subsides, this growth will continue alongside India's economic growth, which I think for this year has been pegged at about 7.5%, which is makes it one of the fastest growing large economies in the world. So we've spoken of the past, but we're also looking to explore opportunities for future growth. And the sectors that are represented here today, marine, agribusiness, and pharma, are extremely important from that perspective. So food security is a matter of concern across the globe, especially as we look at the effects of climate change, and these continue to ravage our crops and our forests, and we've seen that both in BC and in India. So a key concern is growing food in a sustainable way that can continue to feed the present and the future generations. Now, India has significant strengths in agribusiness and marine, and I believe that there's potential for companies from BC and India to partner and develop innovative solutions to counter some of the most pressing problems that agriculture and marine are facing. Problems such as yield improvement, degradation of land, and degradation of freshwater and marine ecosystems. Now, British Columbia farms and grows some very high quality products, including dairy, poultry, vegetables, berries, grapes, and it's also a booming seafood hub. It is in the world, known worldwide for its salmon, for the quality of its salmon. Now, if you're an Indian company looking to export to BC, you should know that there's a great consumer interest in safe, high quality, sustainably produced food in British Columbia. So not only are there opportunities for exporters from India, but also there are opportunities for BC and Indian companies to collaborate to actually develop technologies for the agri sector. Now, coming to the pharma sector, COVID-19 has put a spotlight on the pharma and healthcare ecosystems around the world. And we've all suffered the devastating effects of the pandemic. So we know how important vaccines are. Now, India has produced vaccines for the world. And British Columbia has over 300 biopharmaceutical and medical device companies. And it is a leader in research and development of new therapies and new products. So there is naturally an enormous potential for collaboration between the two partners, whether it's Indian companies looking to do R&D to develop new products, or whether it's British companies from British Columbia looking to find a market for their medical devices, or even co-develop, medical devices for the health sector. Other opportunities that we think are quite significant between British Columbia and India include clean technology, but also emerging and digital technologies. So I'm talking of areas such as water, wastewater treatment, hydrogen fuel cells, energy efficiency, or areas such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, where we've seen a lot of British Columbian companies succeed in India. And we've also seen a lot of co-collaboration happening in these areas between BC and Indian companies. So there are a lot of opportunities for companies on both sides to take advantage of. And while I've outlined just some of these opportunities today, I think there's so much more that can be done in terms of collaboration between the two regions. So we are committed to the growth of the BC-India relationship, and I look forward to working with all of you to make that relationship even stronger. And I'd be delighted to speak to you afterwards, to answer your queries or even connect with you afterwards through ICBC to understand how we can help you in doing so. Thank you very much. And thank you, Shauvik. Over to you.
Thank you, Rooma, for your overview and your remarks. Many of our Indian businesses in the audience will definitely find that helpful. I think there are already quite a few questions in the chat box as they're listening into your remarks. Next, I would like to introduce Shaily Agrawal, Senior Manager at Invest India, which is the National Investment Promotion Agency of India under the Ministry of Commerce. Shaily leads the Canada desk at Invest India, and as part of the initiative, her focus has been on attracting and facilitating foreign investment in India from Canada. Welcome, Shaily. Request you to make your remarks now.
Thanks, Shauvik. I would like to thank and congratulate ICBC for organizing this wonderful event, and I feel truly privileged to be a part of it. Just to reintroduce myself to everyone, I'm Shaily Agrawal. I'm part of Canada desk at Invest India. Invest India is India's national investment promotion agency, and we are mandated to facilitate and promote investment into the country. I will just take you through a few points about India. Now, India is emerging as world's economic powerhouse, and in a span of few years, India has become the fastest growing G20 economy and #3 economy by purchasing power parity. Now, the pace of India's growth is evident from the fact that India is now adding $1 trillion to its economy every year. We are currently a $3.1 trillion economy, and we are ambitiously aiming to be a $5 trillion economy by 2025. It took us 63 years to achieve the first $1 trillion economy and just another 10 years to add the next $5 trillion. It's no surprise that from 10th largest economy in 2011, India will become the 3rd largest economy in 2030, reaching $7 to $8 trillion. If we go by IMF's forecast, India's GDP growth rate is expected to be around 9% in FY23, which is going to be one of the fastest growing. If I look at the FDI figures, India received around $54 billion of FDI during the period April to November 21, and it attracted the highest ever FDI inflow of $81.72 billion during financial year 2020 to 21. India also has the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world, and we have around more than 88 unicorns valued at $296 billion plus. Now, the economic turmoil, which was caused due to COVID-19 pandemic, it resulted in significant losses for the world in terms of lives and livelihood. Global growth, investment, trade saw significant fall in figures, and India was bound by the same challenges. However, India has shown remarkable resilience through the pandemic and has used this as an opportunity to strengthen its economy. Remaining true to the spirit of creating a truly globalized world with no boundaries, our government has enacted several watershed laws in the arena of ease of doing business. Some of the key ones include reduction in corporate tax rate to 25% from 35% to make India globally competitive. We have launched the National Single Window Clearance System, which will act as a digital one-stop solution for taking all regulatory approvals in the country. We came across with we have launched the Geographic Information System, which showcases over 4,500 industrial parks to serve as a one-stop shop for investors looking for available land. We have constituted project development cells in order to build the investment pipeline and improve the domestic investment ecosystem. And we have also constituted empowered group of secretaries who supervise these project development cells. Now, leveraging the power of digitalization, we have also launched our historic Gati Shakti National Master Plan for multimodal connectivity to economic zones. To encourage industries to make in India for the world, we introduced 14 production-linked incentives, such as the PLI scheme, worth $26 billion to boost manufacturing, form resilient supply chain, make our industries more competitive, and boost export potential. In addition to this, we have also introduced $10 billion of incentive plan to establish a fab, chip, and display industry in India. Further, there are many opportunities in many sectors, which have already been opened for private partnership, such as telecom, insurance, defense, aerospace, and now even semiconductors. Talking about India-Canada relationship, now the strong ties, as mentioned by the other panelists, it's evident through the strong presence of Indian diaspora in Canada, the strong trade relations, and the strong investment ties. Now, if I look at Indian diaspora, it's around 1.8 million people of Indian origin and NRIs who are already there, and it constitutes, I think, more than 4% of Canada's total population. Canada continues to be important from trade perspective. Two-way trade was at least around $7 billion plus in 2020-21. We have more than 600 Canadian companies already present in India and another 1,000 companies actively pursuing business in India. And therefore, Canada continues to remain an important source of FDI for India. As Consul General mentioned, it's the 21st largest investor. We have had $2.8 billion of investment during the period April 2000 to September 21 across sectors. And all major Canadian investors like CPPIB, CDPQ, PSP, Brookfield, they have a major presence in India. If I talk specifically about British Columbia, it's among the top 3 provinces from Canada in terms of FDI investment into India. And it's across sectors like information technology, construction, chemicals, etc. Now, given the focus and importance of India-Canada investment relationship, we have a 3-member dedicated desk at Invest India. They work exclusively with the Canadian investors and handhold them in their investment journey into India. We assist investors across pre-investment, investment, and aftercare stage with market research, policy advisory, site research, industry or government connects, policy advocacy, issue resolution, etc. And it's all on a pro bono basis. We have been instrumental in assisting some very large investors in setting up facilities in India, and we look forward to working with all of you in your investment journey into India. Thank you and wish you all a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaily. Thank you, everyone, indeed, for all your remarks. And with that, we conclude this round of remarks and addresses. In the next 10-15 minutes before we close the session, there are a couple of questions on the chat box. I'd request my colleagues who have the speakers who have gathered here to feel free to answer any of these posted questions. If there's one, hello, am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You can start with the
Yeah,
question.
so I think there's one question on health. If Health Canada allows export of disposable products without any hassles, they would like to explore this opportunity. Perhaps our speakers from BC may be able to attempt. Or maybe Consul General.
On this question, we'll have to be specific because pharmaceutical is one opportunity sector, and because of the COVID pandemic and all, this sector is growing as can be seen from the amount of growth of in India pharma exports to Canada. So on this I think we would be able to give a precise answer on this if the query can be more specific in the sense with HS code and things like that, so that we can find out and guide this gentleman, Mr. Sanjeev, who has posed this question. In any case, as I said, 3 priority sector on which we are trying to engage with Indian exporter is food and beverages, apparel, and pharmaceutical. And on these 3 sectors, we have specific tailor-made presentation for Indian exporters and the strategy they have to approach to enter the Canadian market. So if Mr. Sanjeev writes to us, we have put the email IDs there. We will also be able to provide a more generic pharmaceutical sector presentation to him. Or we can cooperate with you guys to have a specific sectoral presentation on pharmaceutical as well as F&B or apparel. And I see some queries on investment opportunities in Vancouver and all. I think Rooma can also chip in, but there are specific programs of Government of British Columbia on attracting investment. And I would encourage our side who wants to enter into Metro Vancouver area to work closely with Invest Vancouver or VC Invest to kind of find out opportunities of investment in this part. Each, apart from the federal government, provincial government have their own program and policies and incentives and tax incentives. So based on the area of interest, I think these two organizations will be able to handhold them. And of course, Ms. Anita was handling Surrey Trade Board. She would also be happy to handhold and advise the potential investor who want to seek, because I saw somebody wanting 100 million worth of investment in the silver minting space. So I think needs to be discussion can happen with all these 3-4 stakeholders on the British Columbia side. And apparel sector, we can provide information. I think this is a growing sector because housing requirement is growing, pandemic and work from home and those courses. So real sector is all-time boom here. So a lot of things are being imported, and we have advantage. But as I said, we have a presentation on this. Compliance is very important in this sector. You can't be just, and how to enter into market, because all this entry into this market is through wholesalers or distributors who are buying from India and then going into the retail space. So we will be able to help him in providing specific answer if Mr. Deepak Agrawal gives a specific query on this.
And just following on from Manish's remarks, so I mean, certainly the government works in British Columbia, works very closely with any Indian investors that want to set up in BC. So, again, if there's any specific, sector or product that people are interested in, I'd be happy to discuss that offline. There's a lot of services that we provide even sitting here in India. So, if you are interested in investing in BC, please reach out to me. We can provide you first level information about the province, about the sector in that province, and we can advise you on what is the best legal entity option you could be looking at, best way to enter Canada through BC. What are some of the advantages? Someone asked a question about tax incentives. So I think basically, there is a provincial tax. So our tax is 27% if we add the federal tax and we add the provincial tax, which is lower than some of the other provinces in Canada. And also the government of Canada offers SHRED credits, which are basically R&D tax credits for companies that want to do R&D work, etc. So there's a number of things that, can be done by various provinces, by British Columbia included. And also, if you are interested in a certain municipality, for example, Surrey, then it would be great to speak to Anita to understand, if how the municipality itself can help you in your investment into British Columbia. So happy to take any specific questions offline, and then we can provide you tailor-made information on investing in BC.
Thank you, Rooma. Thank you, Consul General. I think there's another question for the CG from Shobana. Don't know if you want to, if it's visible for you. How can organizations like ours foster peace that is critical to business success in an uncertain world, Ukraine crisis being the latest at the moment? You're on mute, sir.
This is a very valid comment, Sovna. If I recall correctly, you are from SFU, and thanks for joining. Of course, business follows the political indications, and that is very evident, around the world, I think, and stability. We have a stable relation between India and Canada, and despite pandemic, the growth and recovery is happening. Of course, the global situation, of course, impacts the trade and economic flows and global supply chain, but that is one of the main reasons that our agenda here is to drive the economic engagement and put aside the political differences between our two countries, and like economics should drive our relationship and not the otherwise. And when we talk to our interlocutors also, we suggest that, because in any federal structure, the companies will keep coming to those provinces who are offering more incentives. It is like a beauty parade, like what is happening in federal structure in India also. I mean, states are competing with each other to attract investment. So is it's happening in Canada also. The Indian companies will go to that province which offers them most tax breaks, more incentives, and things like that. So each state here is also competing, and that is a good thing, I think, and that is win-win for the provinces as well as the Indian companies. So as Rooma said, they are there also to help Indian companies entry in BC, because BC is strategically located and when close to American market and the hub of the West Coast. So I think it has its own advantages, and hope that Indian companies can leverage that advantage and invest here to service both the Canadian as well as the American and Mexico market.
Thank you.
There's a longish remark that I see, an introductory remark by Ashutosh about Nortec Trinity. I think they're in the oil sector, and I would like to offer some inputs to him. Basically, if you'd like to explore the market here, the Indian Chamber of Commerce, based in Kolkata, is bringing a delegation in June of this year to the GES, that's the Global Energy Show, which is one of the largest shows here in Canada, and it happens in Calgary. So perhaps you can be part of that delegation of businesses who are accompanying them. Separately, there is also a gas and LNG show that happens in Vancouver. And I believe that is scheduled sometime later September. Usually it happens in May, but I think they are also doing it in July or August this year. So that's another show that you can perhaps come. ICC came again last year, in 2019 to participate, and they are probably looking at participating in that show as well. So those are two good opportunities for you to look at the Canadian market and also connect to international participants.
I see a query from a businessman from Bangalore. He has expressed his desire to visit BC. I think he would be more than welcome, and as an Indian businessman, if you want to travel to BC, so you send us your specific requirement and we'll be happy to facilitate your meetings. And of course, the BC office is also there in New Delhi, and you can reach out to Rooma for some guidance in what sector and what kind of meetings. So that is not an issue. Only you have to kind of organize your plan your travel and the visa requirement and things like that, which will be needed to travel to this part of the world. And there was some query about generic presentation on chemical sector.
Chemical sector, yeah.
So we can do that. I mean, we don't have, I think we have generic presentation on, as I have already mentioned, in apparel, in food and beverages and pharmaceutical. We can, if you, we can make one for you guys, I think, and then we'll be happy to share.
And we can share it then. And Manish, there was one more on alcohol and wine, if you want to.
Wine and spirits, yeah.
I think we received a trade query from local trade house in Vancouver. We will pull that trade query because this gentleman wants to import Indian spirits and wines. And it would be a great if we can have Indian wines and alcohols in the BC liquor shop all around. But it is a difficult process, I believe, and needs a sustained positioning of Indian brands here. And we will also approach Apeda and other wine houses in India to kind of show their products here. And and work on a strategy. Of course, a lot of big Indo-Canadian food importers are working on it. We have also started talking to them whether they can bring in Indian wines, whether it's from Nasik or other Maharashtra wineries, because as I said, Indians, whether who have all come here, everybody earns for the ethnic Indian food or drinks. So, and there are plenty of Indians here, as well as the Indian restaurants are growing. So I think this is one specialized sector we should work together and see how we can bring in Indian wines here, because wines from all over the world are here, but except for the Indian wines. But we'll have to work on this particular aspect with the Indian side as well as Canadian side, who are wanting to import this.
Manish, they've also asked for, so if I can address this one query that has come about any upcoming trade delegation from Canada to India in sectors like wastewater, robotics, and medical equipment. So I think, as Anita had said earlier, she had said, I think, that they brought a delegation way back in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So Anita, we would really like to collaborate with the Surrey Board of Trade and arrange a delegation from Canada to come to India, because there's nothing like coming and seeing firsthand as to what all are the opportunities. And we are here on ground to be able to help you to fix up B2B meetings, and have that. So I think we will talk offline with the chambers, with the help of Rooma and Manish to try and get a delegation from Canada. And as you said, things like wastewater, robotics, medical equipment, these are the things for today. So definitely we would be interested in putting together this delegation along with Anita. Also, to put a delegation from here to British Columbia to Surrey, that's something that we have been talking about for a long time with Rooma. And happy to arrange a delegation on both sides. Now that travel has become easy, I think this is something that we would really like to work on. I think there's one more question on education. What are the education opportunities, and whether Rooma, you or Manish, you would like to take that question? And I think that we can make that the last question probably. We are already short over time.
Education sector is one of the important sectors in our engagement of Pan-Canada, India. I mean, it is no brainer. I think we have about 240,000 international Indian students in various institutions in Canada. And they bring in a lot of revenues for the Canadian institutions. And we have done some rough, quick estimates annually over $5 billion. So this is in terms of only the academic fees, but so this is one big area, and India is one of the important resource countries, top one, and so what we have a specific presentation on India-Canada opportunities in education sector, and Invest India has also done that with our colleagues in Toronto and others. What we need is, after new education policy, we have been also championing with Indo-Canadian education provider that they should look in the market from long-term perspective and not only from the narrow point of attracting Indian students, because in long run this is not going to be sustainable. I mean, people here are looking to attract Indian students to come to their institution, but skills and other things which can be done and imparted in India can be done by the Canadian educational providers, and a lot of provinces are giving specific incentives for education providers. For example, we have received queries from the state of Punjab to whether the Canadian companies can come and start campuses, and they have a specific set of incentives there. So this is a promising sector, and where we can also gain value from Canadian expertise and experience in providing education in this new era. So I think this is one sector we should keep working. A lot of things are happening. SFU, Simon Fraser University has their own set of program, UBC has their own set of programs, Langara College or Vancouver Community College. So things are happening, but we need to see opportunities in Indian market and encourage Canadian education providers to kind of partner with Indian education provider to set up something in India, to value add there, bring skills to the Indians there, and then that same set of people can come to India, because the pathway to immigration is also because it is an immigrant driven country and a lot of immigrants are coming from India. So once you are skilled in India, like in medical area, like nurses, paramedics, this is one big opportunity for Indians to come. So there are specific sectors where there is opportunities in human resources. I think we can work on those areas.
Yeah, I agree. And just to add to what the Consul General is saying, I think student recruitment from India, international students, coming from India to Canada is something that has been happening for many years, and I think it continues to grow very strongly. But we do see a lot of opportunity for BC universities and institutes to offer courses in India in partnership with Indian institutes. And that's already happening with a number of Canadian and BC universities, but not enough. I think there's a lot more that can be done. There's so many areas where, joint curriculum can be offered, and courses, which are, looking at new technology, looking at digital technologies, looking at, areas where India has skill requirements. I think in those areas we could look at, developing courses which can be then delivered in India. And I think the other area where we find that universities can really support some of the commercial outcomes that we're looking to achieve is in the R&D space. So really working on new technology development, and just looking at some critical areas such as healthcare, looking at water, wastewater treatment. So we've had very successful partnerships between BC universities and Indian companies. We've had successful partnerships between institutes looking at developing new technologies. So I think again these are some of the areas where universities and institutes can really support the BC India relationship on a very kind of sustainable basis. So these opportunities should definitely be explored.
Yeah, thank you, Rooma. Just to add to you that recognizing the gap that is between what is the requirement in Canada, especially the employment requirements and the skills that India has. We are doing an e-masterclass on skills where we are encouraging Indians to just train in the skills that are required in Canada, and we could focus on British Columbia. Happy to partner with you, with Manish ji, and try and really focus on this sector, because this is what is the requirement of today. So we'll talk offline and we'll see, because we're already doing these e-master classes and we can see how we can try and push this further.
Absolutely. I agree. Nadira, happy to speak with you on that. And then also pre-COVID, if you remember, we were working on an initiative where we were looking to get Canadian students coming into India, working on internship opportunities with Indian companies. And we found a lot of Indian companies were interested in these kind of programs in welcoming overseas students. And there was a lot of interest from BC universities and institutes to give exposure to their students, into internship opportunities in India. So again, these are some of the linkages that we are keen to pick up again. I think once COVID subsides, keen to pick those up again.
Because we have in fact, the companies are already with their, we had already, as you said, started the work, and we should take it up. So I think with that, maybe Shouvik, if you think that we can now just
I think the final two questions are: everybody's keen to be part of an ICBC delegation, preferably in education or partner us. So I think we'll talk to them offline. I think with that, we will conclude this Q&A round for tonight. And I thank all the speakers, all the audience members who have been online and asked their questions. Thank you very much for attending. Good night from India. And for those in Canada, have the rest of the day very well. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.